Baby River was not responding to any of her medication. The National Union of People's Lawyers, or NUPL, filed an urgent motion to release Rayna May so that she could at least say goodbye to her daughter. They wouldn't even let her think about, like, give her the rights as a mother to care for her, to breastfeed her, to see them. They wouldn't even do that, so at least they could let her say goodbye while she's still alive. The court denied Jacinho's plea and her right as a mother to allow her to breastfeed and take care of her child for at least a year. Since their separation, Baby River, deprived of breast milk, fell ill several times. And you know, breast milk is usually, they say that's like what's healthy for a baby. So you know, who knows how the care was like when they were separated. And then it was only after Baby River died that authorities allowed Rayna May to even see her. And even while Rayna May attended Baby River's wake, jail guards and police officers continued to escort her every step of the way. So Baby River died on October 9, 2020. So she was only July, August. Only about 4 months of life. And even then, her mom didn't have the right to care for her, the ability to see her and just make sure she's okay, especially, you know, those are definitely the most delicate times of life for a human being. And then she couldn't even grieve for her own child, her first child, in peace. The Duterte regime really made her life so miserable. Like, they couldn't even give her that 1 day or 3 days of peace more. So hopefully that just shows the extent and depth of what's been happening in the regime and how that's affected people and mothers and children in the Philippines. Thank you.
No more money for Duterte's crimes. No more money for Duterte's crimes.
Thank you, Laura. Laura is a member of Gabriela, New Jersey, a militant group here who support nationally and internationally the National Democratic Movement for Women in the Philippines.
Wouldn't it turn
If you want to learn more about the
ended it and
organizations,
restarted.
there's
So this is the
flyers
second live.
about
Okay.
the Vigil
Just like
PHRA. We're trying to pass it here locally to help support our family and friends and our, in the Philippines. So our local action affects people internationally. We have to take action here as well. We are local residents and we are also immigrants. We're women who are from the Philippines. We're Filipino Americans. So I just wanted to remind everyone that it is Filipino American Heritage Month. And again, we're offering this vigil along with other 14 states. So thank you, Laura, for presenting Baby River. And our next speaker is from Anakbayan, New Jersey, who will be presenting and sharing a story about Amado Kaya.
The people united
Will never be defeated.
will never be defeated.
The people united.
No justice, no peace.
Stop the killings in the Philippines.
No justice, no peace.
Stop the killings in the Philippines.
Hello everyone, I'm Alyssa from Anakbayan, North Jersey, and I'm here to talk about Amado Rodriguez. Last August, we were met with the tragic news of the passing of our dear kasama, Amado Kaya Rodriguez. His official cause of death was septic shock, likely due to food poisoning. Amado died in Mindoro, Philippines, where he had been living for the past 2 years. Healthcare in the area had been inaccessible to Amado and to the peasant and indigenous Mangyan community. Money is allocated to the military, counterinsurgency, and the luxuries of those in power instead of being allocated to national healthcare infrastructure. Amado was a fierce mass leader and an organizer who put study to practice. His commitment to social justice began by reviving the Black Student Union in his high school as the movement for Black lives and liberation reignited across the country. He later joined Anakbayan East Bay, eventually becoming the chairperson and a National Council representative of ABUSA. Amado was a crucial campaigns like Take Back Our Education, which translated to a local victory in Oakland by blocking the building of a sports stadium that would have displaced community college and the working class families who attended. Aside from a huge love for jokes, video games, and food, Amato had an unshakable love for the people. That's why 2 years ago, he decided to move back home to the Philippines to serve the peasant and indigenous Manyang communities in Mindoro province. He stood alongside them in their fight for land, livelihood, and ancestral domain. Despite the real hardships faced by Amato, his decisiveness to struggle through them, alongside the communities he worked with, reminds us of what it truly means to be an activist, and an anak ng bayan, a child of the people. While many of us who knew Amato have been able to commemorate him at online and in-person memorials, looking back through memories and messages we had with him, enjoying meals at the beautiful mural dedicated to him in Oakland, singing movement songs and other ways, we have not yet been able to hold a public tribute as the ABUSA, out of safety and security considerations due to the Duterte regime's attempts to denigrate not just Amato, but all who helped and supported him in his final days. October is Filipino-American History Month, as well as Philippine Peasant and Indigenous Peoples Month. In light of this, we dedicate October as the start of a mass propaganda and education campaign to promote Amato's life, work, and legacy, and the struggles of the peasant farmers he committed his life to. Thank you.
No justice, no peace.
Stop the killings in the Philippines.
No justice, no peace.
Stop the killings in the Philippines.
No justice, no peace.
Stop the killings in the Philippines.
Thank you, Alyssa, for sharing about the life of Amato Kaya. It really took an example from Amato Kaya because he was a Filipino-American, right? Just like many of us, just like the many people that are here that have organized this, that dedicated his life to serving the indigenous people in the Philippines. And he faced the wrath of the state. But his life mission was really to dedicate it to serving the people and addressing the basic needs and the basic rights of the people in the Philippines. So this really calls to question, what can we do? And like Yvette was saying, like Kate was saying, people here in the U.S. have a stake in the human rights situation in the Philippines. As the U.S. is funneling money, millions of dollars into the Philippines for the military and the police to terrorize the indigenous people, terrorize the working people, terrorize poor people in the Philippines are standing up and rising up because the conditions are unbearable. So unbearable that they choose the life of struggle, they choose the life to resist, and they often also resort to taking up arms because there is no other choice but to resist in the Philippines when the conditions are so bad. So I would like to invite everybody, when you have some time, to visit humanrightsph.org to learn more about what we can do, right? How you can reach out to your legislators, how you can have these conversations with your neighbors, with your family members, with your classmates, with your coworkers about the human rights situation in the Philippines, and how our U.S. tax dollars are going to the genocide and the murdering of the people in the Philippines. So with that being said, I would like to introduce Kuya Tito for a poem that he has prepared for us. But real quick before that, come up. If folks have seen a black wallet, there's a gentleman here that has lost his black wallet somewhere around this area. So if you do see it, you can direct it to me, and we'll pass it off. Yeah, he's been asking if we can look around in this area and separately. Sorry. Thank you. Not another nickel, not another dime. No more money for Duterte's crimes. Not another nickel, not another dime. No more money for Duterte's crimes. No justice, no peace. Stop the killing in the Philippines. No justice, no peace.
Stop the killing in the Philippines!
No justice, no peace.
Stop the killing in the Philippines!
Okay. Oh, he's preparing. So I pull out my chat list. So I hear that. Right, so we're folks that are just going in. If you can take a step closer, if you haven't looked already, these are a handful, 30-some people that have been killed by this murderous regime in the Philippines, right? People from the ranks of lawyers, from journalists, from church people, land defenders, unionists, people that are really fighting for the basic needs of the Filipino people, right? Calling for justice, calling for higher wages, calling for the right to land, the right to ancestral domain. And because of their struggle and because of their resistance and their courageousness and their ability to pull in community and organize people, they were killed and shot down by the Filipino government. Right? So that's why we are here today, and that is why you see that these candles are arranged in the letters PHRA, standing for the Philippine Human Rights Act, a bill that is going to cut the U.S. military aid to the Philippines until justice is served, until those who are held accountable, or those who are responsible for these murders are held accountable, and that no more human rights violations can continue. So I would like to invite Fiatino to the mic if you're ready.
Actually, what I have is a Tagalog poem, but I passed on a few copies of the poem, and there is an English translation. So like I said, it's a Filipino poem, and the background is it was written by our national hero, Dr. Jose Rizal, when he was 8 years old. It's the first, one of the first poems taught to me by my mother, and Dr. Rizal is my idol. Kapag ka ang bayay sa diyang umiibig, sa kanyang salitang kaloob ng langit, sanlang kalaya ay nasaring masapit, katulad ng ibong nasa himpapawid. Pagkat ang salita'y isang kahatulan, sa bayan, sa nayon, mga kaharian, at ang isang tao'y katulad kabagay ng alinmang likha noong kalayaan. Ang hindi magmahal sa sariling wika ay higit sa hayop at malansang isda. Kaya ang marapat pagyamaning kusa katulad ng buong siyang nagpala. Ang ang Tagalog, tulad din sa Latin, sa Ingles, Kastila, at salitang anghel. Sapagkat ang poem, maalam tumingin ang siyang nagbigay, naggawa sa atin. Ang salita natin, huwag din sa iba, na may alfabeto at sariling letra, na kaya nawalay gawa ng sigwa dumating sa lawa noong dahong una. Again, there is an English translation, so if you will read it, you will find the meaning of the poem. Thank you very much, and long live the Filipinos and the Philippines! Out with Duterte!
Out with Duterte!
Thank you, Filipino. So I'm going to say a chant. I'm going to say defend democracy, and then you're going to say rise, resist, unite against Duterte's tyranny. Right? So we'll try it once, and we'll see how it goes, right? Defend democracy!
Rise, resist, unite against Duterte's tyranny!
Defend democracy!
Rise, resist, unite against Duterte's tyranny.
Right, so we are here joining in not only with 14 other people across the United States, but with organizations, people united against a brutal regime, and we're also united with the people in the Philippines, right? United in that things that have to change, right? Enough is enough, right? How many more lives have to be taken for the sake of just rising up, right? For the sake of rising up and resisting and demanding for basic needs. And what the power that we have here today is that we have the power of the people. We have the power of community. We have the power that brings people together and has really amounted to an ousting of even a previous dictator, Marcos, right? The idol of Duterte. And folks are familiar with Ferdinand Marcos. He was a dictator that enacted martial law and has resulted in so many disappearings, so many deaths, that has really shaken the world. It brought so much attention to the Philippines and the human rights situation. Here we are today, several administrations later, with another administration that is following the legacy and surpassed the numbers of killings, surpassed the number of displacements as Ferdinand Marcos. Duterte has terrorized the people, and especially within the past year with the passing of the anti-terror law and the formation of the National Task Force to end local communist conflict. Organizations like we have here today, Anakay and Gabriela Migrante, have been red tagged, have been terror tagged as terrorists and as people that are causing harm. But what are we doing today? We are commemorating the lives of the dead. We are commemorating those that have dedicated their lives to struggle, to fight for human rights. Are we actually terrorists? Right? So, no! Right? How are we terrorists?
No!
What are we doing? Right? We're resisting. We're flexing our constitutional right to assemble, much like many of these folks that have been killed today. And I would just like to call attention to the tactics of Duterte, even go beyond the borders of the Philippines, into the backyards, into Jersey City, where we see organizations like the Filipino American, an organization that is actively terror tagging our organizations, calling our organizations terrorist organizations on West Side Avenue here in Jersey City, right? And when we ask the community, why are they doing this? Who is making them do this? They point to the consulate. They're saying that the Philippine government is working with the organizations here, working with the Duterte supporters here to actively target the organizations like that are vocalizing the concerns and banding together. So this is a very real life situation that is not happening over there or not happening not here. But it's really happening in our backyards where organizations and people that you see today here today are being actively terror attacked, right? So we have a stake in this. We are with the folks here. We're not necessarily separate, and we're calling for the solidarity among everybody here in New Jersey to call on our legislators to pass the Philippine Human Rights Act, right, and take action. There have been many words that have been said by Cory Booker, by Elvia Sirius, Malinowski, Donald Payne about the solidarity that they express to the Philippines and Filipino people. But where is the action? We are calling for our legislators to take action, to center human rights in U.S. foreign policy, and no longer fund authoritarian dictator abroad when there are people here that need that money desperately, right? Why are we sending our U.S. tax dollars abroad when here in Jersey City there is so much need? So, with that being said, let's do another chant. From New Jersey to the Philippines, stop the U.S. war machine. From New Jersey to the Philippines, stop the U.S. war machine. From New Jersey to the Philippines,
Stop the U.S. war machine.
from Jersey City to the Philippines,
Stop the U.S. war machine.
from New Jersey to the Philippines.
Stop the U.S. war machine.
The people united.
We'll never be defeated.
The people united.
We'll never be defeated.
We'll never be defeated.
The people united.
So I'm gonna pass off the mic to Bernadette from Malaya Movement, and she will also be sharing a few different stories, stories from folks that have been taken by the regime and have dedicated their lives to serving the people.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming tonight to this vigil. We are here tonight to amplify the call for our New Jersey legislators to co-sponsor the Philippine Human Rights Act. Many speakers tonight already shared about why this matters so much. We do not want our U.S. tax dollars going to fund a murderous regime in the Philippines. As they've already shared, many people have been killed, many people have been put in jail for simply serving the people, for simply standing up for their rights. Here on the ground, there are photos of at least 33 people who have been killed. I know that even looking at these photos, we want to humanize them. We want you to know that each one of their lives, they stood for something. They are trade unionists fighting for the rights of workers in the Philippines. They are priests standing side by side with victims of people who have been killed by extrajudicial killings in the drug war. They are human rights defenders. They are land defenders. They are indigenous people. They are nurses. They are youth and students standing up for their rights in a time when there are literally no civil liberties in the Philippines. So each one of their lives matters. Each one of their lives, they fought for something. And they were targeted by the Duterte regime because of what they stood for, because they dared to challenge him. They dared to challenge his dictatorship. So tonight I also want to highlight part of the human rights crisis in the Philippines is the issue of political prisoners. In the Philippines, there are over 700 political prisoners that are under the Duterte regime. They have been unjustly put behind bars because of their work in serving their communities and standing against the dictatorship. I would like to share the story of one of these people. Her name is Nympha Lanzanas. She is affectionately called by her community Nanay Nympha or Mother Nympha. She is 61 years old. She's a mother, a grandmother, and she has her own medical conditions suffering from anemia and hypertension. She was a human rights worker and she aided other political prisoners. She was a paralegal for a human rights group called Karapatan, and she's also a member of an organization that stands for the rights of political prisoners in the Philippines that are comprised of family members of those who have been jailed. She was drawn to human rights work after her own son, Edward, was arrested illegally, wrongly arrested, and became a political prisoner back in 2014. She's a staunch human rights worker. She travels to different jail facilities across Luzon to bring food and to bring other political prisoners in the different provinces different packages that their families are trying to send them. She also goes to courts where their cases are pending to help secure important case documents. In the early morning of Sunday, March 7, earlier this year, the Philippine police conducted various raids across the island of Luzon in the Philippines. These coordinated raids resulted in the killings of 9 people and the arrest of 3 other activists, one of them in one of these raids, while she was sleeping in her own home with her grandchildren. The arrest was based on a bogus search warrant that the police did not even get to show to her before they raided her home. There were many irregularities with this warrant, and it violated the constitutional rights of Nanay Nympha. There are many ways in which the Duterte regime continues to weaponize the law against various activists, various human rights defenders like Nanay Nympha in the Philippines, environmental rights activists, trade unionists. He has developed a system of systematically arresting them so that they cannot build power on the ground, so that they cannot fight for their political rights and fight for the rights of the people. So today, we honor the work of Nanay Nympha. We call for her immediate release. We call for the release of all political prisoners in the Philippines and really all political prisoners around the world. We stand with her. We stand stand with the work that she has done, and we remember her, and we want to let her know that we have not forgotten her. We have not forgotten her struggle, and we will continue to fight for her. There are many ways to do this. The Malaya movement has a campaign directly supporting political prisoners in the Philippines. But another way that you can get involved is really picking up your phone, calling your legislator, asking Albio Sires, a representative here in this part of Jersey City, that he co-sponsor the Philippine Human Rights Act. He has a direct hand in saying how our U.S. tax dollars get used, and he can take action, and we demand that he takes action. Thank you.
Another dime! No more money for Duterte's crimes! Another nickel! Another dime!
No more money for Duterte's crimes.
Defend democracy!
Rise resist unite against Duterte's tyranny.
Rise! Defend democracy!
Rise resist unite against Duterte's tyranny.
Thank you all for sticking through. We're wrapping up our program very soon, but I'd like to appreciate and give thanks to everybody as the temperature is getting lower and lower and it's getting windier and windier. Our candles did not survive, the flames around our candles did not survive, but thank you again for sticking it through and bearing the cold and bearing the wind. We have one more speaker coming up, and this person, Janelle, they will be sharing some of the folks and sharing the names of the folks that have been taken by Duterte.
To fund our social services. We have so many problems.
And let's give a moment of silence to really acknowledge those that have been, the lives that have been taken, and also celebrate all the ripples that they have created in the Philippines and across the world for the work that they have done, serving the people and fighting for the rights of the Filipino people. So maybe Janelle will say a name, and can we all repeat the name afterwards? So it'll be a common response if they say the person's name, we'll just repeat it, and we'll go back and forth. Is that okay?
Yes.
No justice, no peace.
Stop the killings in the Philippines.
No justice, no peace.
Stop the killings in the Philippines.
No justice, no peace.
Stop the killings in the Philippines.
Not another nickel, not another dime.
No more money for Duterte's crimes.
Not another nickel, not another dime.
No more money for Duterte's crimes.
These are the martyrs. Lawyers. Attorney Juan Macabadbad.
Attorney Juan Macabadbad.
Attorney Rex Fernandez.
Attorney Rex Fernandez.
Attorney Benjamin Ramos.
Attorney Benjamin Ramos.
Those killed after Duterte's 6th State of the Nation address just this past July. Peasant leader J. Marpalero.
J. Marpalero.
Activist Marlon Naperi.
Marlon Marperi.
Political prisoners Jesus Alegre.
Jesus Alegre.
Joseph Canlas.
Joseph Canlas.
Civilians killed in Masbate last June. Eileen Ekit Bulalakaw.
Eileen Ikaw.
Ramon Boy Valenzuela Brioso.
Ron Valenzuela Brioso.
And Antonio Bolegrantes.
Antonio Grantes.
Dandy Miguel.
Dandy Miguel.
Those killed on Bloody Sunday, March 7, 2021. Fisher folk leaders Ariel Evangelista.
Ariel Evangelista.
Ana Maris Levita Evangelista. Progressive leader Emmanuel Asuncion.
Manuel Asuncion.
Housing
Housing rights advocates Melvin Dasigal,
Melvin the Seagull,
Mark Bacasno,
Mark Bucasno,
Dumagat farmers Randy and Puroy de la Cruz,
Randy and De La Cruz,
Abner, Edward, and Esto.
Abner and Esther Esto,
Those killed in the Tumandog massacre December 30, 2020, Roy Higanto,
Roy Ganto,
Reynaldo Katipunan,
Ronaldo Katipunan,
Mario Aguirre,
Mario Aguirre,
Elicio Gayas,
Eliseo Gayas,
Mauro Diaz,
Mauro Diaz,
Arcelito Katipunan,
Katipunan,
Arcelito Katipunan,
Arcelito Katipunan,
Jomer Vidal,
Jomer Vilal,
Dalson Katamin,
Nelson
Human rights defenders Zara Alvarez,
Sauro Alvarez,
Ryan Hubilia,
Ryan Hubilia,
Nelly Bagasala,
Nelly Bagasala,
Toto Patigas,
Toto Patigas,
peace consultants, former Roman Catholic priest Rustico Tan,
Sikutan,
Reynaldo Bocala,
Ronaldo Bucal,
and his aide Welly Arguelles Epago, Antonio Cabanatan,
Antonio Cabanatan,
Florenda Yap,
Florendo Yap,
Alvin Luque, and his companion Rodel Macana, Eugenia Magpantay,
Eugenia Macpantay,
Agato Topacio,
Anto Picasso,
Randy Echanes,
Randy and Janice,
and his neighbor Louis Tagapia,
Louis Tagapia,
Julius Giron,
Julius Giron,
Dr. Maria Lourdes Tanco,
Dr. Maria Lourdes Tanco,
aide R.V. Reyes,
Baby Reyes,
Randy Malayo,
Randy Malayo,
journalist Ronnie Villamor,
Ronnie Villamor,
Jobert Bercasio,
Robert Picasso,
Joe Williana, Edmund Sestoso,
Edmund Sistoso,
and Mario Condoy.
Mario Cantoy,
I mean, especially for the voters, particularly.
Thank you everyone for a moment of silence and gathering today along with all the 14 cities in the USA. Again, our actions here affect those internationally. We have local elections coming up on November 2nd, and there are also the presidential elections next year in the Philippines. Please encourage your friends and families to vote, take action, and show and express community love through community aid. We have community pantries, and we also want to thank you for offering a moment of silence for those lives lost as we continue to fight for the struggles and freedoms and honor their lives that they've sacrificed, and all the land defenders that we have today. Thank you to Anagbaya, New Jersey, Gabriela, New Jersey, Migrante, Malaya. We also have Solidarity Jersey City here today. Black Men United. Can we all offer another moment of silence for those, the names that we've mentioned and the lives and the faces that we honor here today, to encourage our legislators to pass the Philippine Human Rights Act. And please learn more through the pamphlets. And we offer our prayers and our songs and our poetry for our collective community. So thank you everyone for being here today. Maraming salamat po and magandang gabi.
No justice, no peace!
Stop the killing to the Philippines!
No justice, no peace!
Stop the killing to the Philippines!
No justice, no peace!
Stop the killing to the Philippines!
No justice, no peace!
Stop the killing to the Philippines!
The people united!
Will never never be defeated.
We'll never be defeated.
The people united.
The people united.
Will never be defeated.
Thank you. And just a last note, we're going to take a quick picture with everybody here. So we have to take pictures for the world to see. And the last thing I would like to mention is that you heard a lot of our organizations are here that came together. And part of taking action is building the mass movement, right? Building the mass movement. And although we have this strategy to influence and win over our legislators, we know that real change happens on the street. Real change happens when we pull in more people, we organize more people into the mass movement. We build our organizations, and we show our force, right, through numbers. So the next time we do another vigil, or the next time that we take the streets, or the next time we speak to our legislators, we have hundreds of people, thousands of people behind us rallying to address the human rights situation in the Philippines and supporting the people's movement in the Philippines in order for the Philippines to truly be liberated from foreign domination and free from exploitation, so that everybody and everybody in the future generations, their basic needs are met and that they can truly prosper. So let's gather around here, chat a little bit, and take a picture. So can folks